there were 7 brothers, and the youngest brother was called Maui. But Maui was powerful. For Maui had inherited his father's power, for his father was the sky god. Maui had many powers, but he always irritated his older brothers. And one morning they decided they wanted to go fishing without him. So they got up before the sun rose and they went down to the shore and they took their wooden canoe. And they got in the canoe with their paddles, and they paddled, 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 and they paddled far out across the sea. And then they decided that they would fish. And they took their fishing spears, and they were just about to start fishing when they heard a voice. I am with you. You cannot see me. The brothers were afraid. Where was this voice coming from? And they looked around, and on the sea there was nothing. No ship, no boat. So they picked up their paddles, and they paddled, 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 and they paddled far across the ocean. Here we will fish. And they prepared with their spears. They heard the voice again. I am with you. You cannot see me. And they were more afraid than before. They looked down into the waters. And there was nothing, just clear sea. They were so afraid. They took their paddles and they paddled 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 far out. And now they were so far from the land. And they took their fishing spears. And I am with you. And you cannot see me. And they were more afraid than before. And they looked up into the sky, but there were no birds in the sky. Where was the voice coming from? And then the eldest brother, he looked down in the bottom of the boat and he pulled up the footboard. And underneath the footboard was Maui, the youngest brother. I am with you. You could not see me. Said the elder brothers. Why did you not stay back on the shore? You are annoying. Now we will take you back. Oh no, said Maui. It is too far, look. And they looked, and they could not see the shore because Maui had a power to make things seem further away than they really were. Then we will fish, said the brothers. Do not fish here, said Maui. Here there are no fish. I will show you. And the brothers were annoyed, but they knew that Maui had power. So they agreed. They paddled further across the sea. Here is the place, said Maui. Here you will fill the canoe with fish. And the brothers, they took their hunting spears and their nets, and they cast the nets, and they threw the spears, and soon the boat was full of fish, big, delicious fish. It was so full that the boat was nearly sinking. Now we will return to the shore. No, said Maui. I haven't fished yet. It is my turn. Give me some bait. No, said the brothers. We will not give you any bait to catch fish. Well then, I will find my own bait. And Maui took out his magic hook, which was made from his ancestor's jawbone. And he rubbed his nose until there was blood. And he put the blood on the hook. And he dropped the hook into the water. Down and down and down and down went the line. And he waited. And he waited. And the brothers were waiting and they were impatient. And the sea was clear and smooth. And then suddenly, Maui felt on the end of his hook a big fish. And Maui began to pull. Pull. But it wouldn't come. It was so big and heavy. So he pulled harder. And Maui summoned all of the strength that he got from his father, the sky god. And he began to pull, and as he pulled, the sea was no longer smooth. There were waves. And still he heaved, and his brothers were amazed at his strength. And now waves were crashing over the boat. Maui continued to pull and pull until from under the sea he pulled a great fish, so great that you could not see the end of it. You could not see the tail. A huge fish pulled up from under the sea.
It's a monster.
And then he saw that his hook was caught in a door. Why? I have pulled up Tonganui, the sea god. He had pulled the land up from under the sea. And he said to his brothers, I must go to my father and ask him for his advice. You stay here. Do not touch the land. And Maui flew out of the boat and into the sky because he could fly as well. And Maui flew far and far away to tell his father, the sky god. Finally, Maui returned. When he had been gone, his brothers had looked at this beautiful land and they had begun to argue. This piece of the land is mine. This piece is for me. I will have this piece. And they took their spears and they started cutting at the fish. And the skin of the fish became rucked up like mountains. And some of it there were hollows. And by the time Maui returned, it was no longer a smooth land, this fish. It was a great land. Islands with mountains and valleys, where the brothers had cut it with their spears. This land is called New Zealand. This is the story of the beginning of New Zealand. The story of the Maori people. Maui, the Maori people are some great fishermen and hunters.
Yes.
And that is their creation story.